Okay, I think we can start. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Paolo Bortolin. I'm working for the city of Lugano, and I'm the head of business attraction for corporates and high net worth individuals, which means that I am the person or the entry point of the city with Pietro Poretti, who is the director of the economic promotion of the city. I said the entry point of the people interested to relocate to Lugano or start a company in Lugano and hopefully relocate to Lugano and to live in Lugano. So today in this panel, we want to give a little bit an insight what it means to relocate to Lugano. Well, relocation from maybe within Switzerland, but also more important, and probably the international audience shows this, to relocate from abroad to Switzerland first. And then once you decide for Switzerland, well, hopefully maybe you choose Lugano as the place to be for your new venture or just for living. Just 2 words. After the panel, I will be here for half an hour. I'm not sure Pietro can stay maybe 15 minutes, then you have to go for another event. But just come to me and then we can exchange information. Then if you want to go a little bit deeper in moving to Lugano, then we can connect next week or in the next weeks, and I can dedicate you a little bit more time. Today here we have 4 interesting individuals, professionals and entrepreneurs who will give you a little bit an insight on some topics. We will start with Alexander. Maybe I let you then introduce briefly when I give you the words. Alexander Brunner, who will give you an insight about the general view on Switzerland as an ecosystem, including the legal framework in Switzerland, which is really friendly for crypto and blockchain and AI projects. Remembering that the laws apply to the whole Switzerland. So we have 26 cantons. We are one canton. We are one city, but the laws are the same everywhere. So if you relocate to Lugano, to Zug, to Riga, or Geneva, it's the same law that applies. So Alexander will give you an insight of what it means, in generally speaking, move to Switzerland, and what are the main arguments that we have here, including the laws, but generally speaking, the laws on blockchain and crypto. Then we have Alessandro. Alessandro is a professional. He's working for Gruppo Multi. And he's the professional who helps the people, the companies and individuals to really relocate. So the process to do it. So Alessandro will speak a little bit about working permit, what it means to open up a company here, and many other details about very practical details on setting up a new venture. Then we will move to 2 entrepreneurs. One is Pietro, who moved in Lugano in 2023, I think. He will tell you a story, and he will tell his story about why he relocated to Lugano and what is his project doing, and the success and the plus and minus of having relocated to Lugano. And the second one is Guilherme, who has just decided to relocate or move his venture from Brazil to Lugano. So one from Italy and one from Brazil. So he gives you also an insight for somebody coming from the EU and somebody coming from outside of the EU, which makes a big difference. Alessandro will explain about the working permit and how we can set up a company. So, make some advertising for Lugano. We also manage the contact with high net worth individuals who want to relocate to Lugano, beyond the fact that they are in crypto space or not. We have a nice brochure here. We have the digital version too. It's named Moving to Living and Working in Lugano. It says a lot of information about what you have to do or what you have to know before to decide if you want to come to Lugano and Switzerland. Well, I'm not going to take some more time for this panel. I'm handing the stage to Alexander. Please introduce a little bit yourself and explain us why Switzerland.
Thank you, Paolo. I hope that works. My name is Alexander Brunner. I'm wearing 3 hats. The first one is just for the context we're going to talk about. I was a member of parliament for about 7 years, so I have the political side. I'm very well aware how politics work. And I'll talk about that. I'm going to talk a bit about politics, but I think it's very important. The second thing, I'm the president of Home of Blockchain. So we're helping companies coming here, we're promoting, we're working with the city of Lugano, we do breakfast, we do events, so we're promoting Switzerland abroad. So if you have any questions that the city cannot answer, also feel free to reach out to me. And last but not least, I have a consulting company, I'm actually helping companies coming here. But I think what is interesting, Paula asked me to showcase why people should move to Lugano, and I think the easiest way to do that is, Pietro, you get up, you pull the curtain, everyone looks outside, and then you understand why you should come to Lugano. But joking, there you go. I think it's a perfect day. If you come from Zurich like me, where it's gray and rainy and windy, and you come here, you understand. And it's interesting when you step off the train at the train station, literally everyone gets out and takes pictures. Don't even want to live somewhere where that works. But besides the scenery, I'd like to basically talk a bit why I do think that Switzerland is really your first choice of location for a crypto or blockchain company. I don't know if you read the FT, people don't read that anymore, but recently there was a news, like a couple of days ago, and it said, we're going to talk about Italians, we have an Italian on the panel, it says, Italy aims to sour rich expats Dolce Vita by lifting flat tax on foreign income by 50%. What has happened? The current government in Italy said we want to attract all the disgruntled entrepreneurs from UK because of the non-dom regime, and we're going to give them a flat tax regime. A lot of entrepreneurs actually now went to Milano. Milano is like by car an hour or
Yeah, an hour 10.
an hour away. So they went there because the government promised them a cheap, a good tax deal. And now the government actually, and if you read and listen to Meloni, the president, the prime minister, she says, well, we're actually bankrupt. We need more money. So what did they do, the Italians? They're clever, They say, come, live the Dolce Vita. Once you're here, we tax you, And that's what's going to happen. And why is this important? And I'm going to talk about Switzerland, why I think it's not going to happen here. Because if you look at Europe, which country is not bankrupt? Any ideas? Okay, Liechtenstein maybe, I don't know. But if you look at the big Germany is still doing okay. France is bankrupt, UK is bankrupt, Italy is bankrupt. Everyone is bankrupt. And what does that mean? The governments are looking for money. And where do they look? Which people do they like to tax? Any ideas in the room? The rich ones. If you're a successful entrepreneurs, any successful entrepreneurs in the room? Maybe you're on the way.
You have to work on it. You have to work on it.
If you are, I think there's.
Oh, we are here.
I mean, the government doesn't like you. I mean, it likes you to come somewhere and then tax you, and they change it. And I think it's across Europe. And actually, what recently was in London at the presentation by Dan Moorhead from Pantera, the VC fund, he said they call it the debasement trade. By the way, if you heard about that. So the governments are basically trying to devalue the currency and get more tax income because they have to pay off the debt and the interest. So this is Europe. So my question to any entrepreneur in this room is, so where do you go if you know that? You first want to go maybe to a country that is not going bankrupt. Welcome to Switzerland. You want to go to a country that doesn't arbitrarily, change tax rules. I have to say you're going to have a vote in November about inheritance tax, but it's not going to be accepted, most likely. You'll see it. The Swiss don't like to rise taxes. Actually, Lugano, even as other cantons, they've been lowering taxes. So why can they do that? Because we're running a sensible economy. And it's run, and that's the most crucial point, and sort of the kickoff to this discussion. Why is Switzerland like that? Because Switzerland has a very strong algorithm, talking about it. The algorithm is decentralized and open source and transparent, and it's run by the people. Does that sound familiar? I hope some of you guys in here like Bitcoin. Well, Switzerland is the political system of Bitcoin. It's decentralized, it's transparent, it's bottom-up. People vote here, we are in power. So I think if you're a rich entrepreneur, or and you want to find the Goldilocks scenario of an environment where you can have certainty about taxes, you have a wonderful view, a wonderful lake. You can choose between different cantons, but Lugano is clearly very high up. There's some other nice ones, I'm not going to name them, but there's nice ones. You can come here and you do business. Just today, Relay, that's a Bitcoin startup, announced they got the MiCA license. You can even do business from here in Europe without being afraid of any government. And this is my short introduction about why I think Switzerland is the foremost place to come if you want to be an entrepreneur in blockchain.
Well, Alexander, thank you very much, and thanks for promoting Lugano. Honestly, I haven't paid him. I didn't know what he was saying, but I agree on everything, particularly about Lugano. That's really something that you should consider when you are looking for a stable country. Stable coin, stable country. Here we have an audience, they are fan about crypto and blockchain. But it is true that, moving here, there are advantages. There are disadvantages, let's be honest. Switzerland is not a cheap country, right, Alexander? It costs. But once you are here, what do you think about it? I mean, it's expensive. Maybe Lugano is kind of more competitive since we have here Italy just next to us. But generally speaking, you have access to the government, you have access to, to a framework which helps you really. It doesn't fight you. Is that right?
This is right. And like I said, I have a consulting business, so I see a strong interest. I have now clients from the US, a lot of interest from the US. Some people don't like what's happening in the US, they come here to live. And all the way to Japan. And I think really this stability that sometimes maybe feels a bit boring is become sexy. And it's not boring that you cannot do business. You can actually do business. But there's stability on the government side.
Yeah. Many times people tell me, oh, we can come to Switzerland and do anything. No, that's not true, right? Our framework is really clear. You cannot do anything. You cannot do whatever you want. But what is clear, you can do it, right? I think this is the stability you're looking for. And probably I've done myself a startup in Italy with other people. It was really, really shaky, all the time to understand, can we do this? Can we not do this? Or are they going to change the law? Going back and, and then you feel bad with your company because you started a venture and then you cannot continue because they changed the law. But anyway, we are not talking about our competitors, let's say this next to us. But let's talk a little bit now, Alessandro, about when you want really, now we have convinced everybody to come here, right? Now, what do you have to do? Tell us. I mean, is it easy to set up a company? Is it easy to come and live in Lugano, Switzerland? What's going on there?
Yeah. Thanks, Paolo, and thanks, Alexander, for the comprehensive explanation about Swiss benefits and environment. And then you might think that given all this interest on Switzerland, it would be very, very hard to relocate to Switzerland, but this is really not the case. So we have assisted in our I'm a fiduciary in a group that assists companies and individuals relocating to Switzerland, and we have assisted several companies and individuals coming from all around the world in setting their business or their families in Ticino in particular. And I must say that we have been able to develop a really straightforward path with the authorities, so that this is a lean process. So that there are no major hurdles to pass to get settled here. And it really is. So it's really fast to set up a company. You just need to open a bank account, pay a small initial capital, and then you go to the notary. In a few days, you get a company fully operative. This is really something that doesn't happen in other countries. You will for sure have some requirements from the legal point of view, so you will need to have a local director who is resident of Switzerland. But starting from that very point, the company is able to operate, to hire people, to engage into contracts, to do business in general. And same applies to individuals. It's even easier because you don't need to set up a company. You just need to relocate from the personal point of view. You need to have a permit if you want to stay in the longer period, which is also a pretty straightforward process, because another advantage in Switzerland is that you can deal with the authorities in a very fast way. So it's not easy in other countries to take the phone and call the tax authorities or the migration offices. You might be in a long waiting queue, and this is really not the case in Switzerland. You have prompt answers, you have fast replies, you have certainty, which is an aspect that Alex mentioned and is really crucial and makes the difference in environment as the current context worldwide. So all this makes things easier. Sometimes if you are a non-EU citizen, you need to have some more, let's say, business or interests of Switzerland in having you here, but especially in the path and in the context of the Plan B, and the technical skills and knowledges that people can bring to Switzerland, there is another path that encourages people to come here. And that eases also the process of relocation for non-EU citizens. So this is also thanks to the municipality of Lugano, is another really interesting topic, because it might turn difficult if you are non-EU passport to move to Switzerland, which again is not the case. It has all just to be dealt with. So as I mentioned, we have assisted several companies and individuals to relocate to Switzerland, and I'm working in the sector since several years, and I can say that no one has regretted the choice. So everyone that has relocated to Switzerland doesn't want to move because it's happy of the safety, of all the good aspects that Alexander clearly mentioned. And also tax-wise, this is an interesting country, especially on the crypto assets, because you know the capital gains not deriving from professional trading are fully exempt from taxes in Switzerland. So this is really a game changer, and Alexander mentioned the recent changes in the taxation law in Italy. One of these is also the taxation on the conversion of crypto assets, which is taxed at 33% in the new project of fiscal law in Italy. And the same has been for other countries like in the Nordics, in Portugal. This has been also a game changer tax-wise that has moved and pushed many individuals to relocate to Switzerland, because again the individual capital gains are exempt from taxes.
Alexandro, I remember when they announced it a 46% on taxes on the capital gain on crypto, which normally I think is 23 or 26. Normally, 26. Yeah. So I think within an half an hour, there was a meme going around on socials with our mayor saying, Italy 46, Lugano 0. So that was a lot of fun, not controlled by us, but it was showing really that Switzerland is really like that. And it's not just for crypto, it's just the normal way to be. We don't have,
Absolutely. In general,
capital gain taxes.
The fiscal system is very fair, so you also perceive what you're paying for. It's not a tax-free heaven. You pay taxes, but you have also a perception of the service and the added value that you're paying for. You get something back. And this is really a crucial topic.
Yeah, maybe if I may add some points on this. Lugano is also the safest city in Switzerland since 9 years in a row by statistics. Let's be very clear. Zurich is very safe too. The rest of Switzerland is very safe too. It's just by statistics we are the lower crime rate on many rankings. But I love Switzerland generally speaking, but Lugano is really quiet from this point of view. If you are a billionaire, you can really walk around. You can see, crypto billionaire walking here around the street, even today or even here, very freely. Nobody will disturb you. So this is very important, speaking about Switzerland generally, but Lugano, maybe we have the sun, which is at some points. And I'm saying this year because the last 2 editions was raining all the time, so this year I can use it, right, as an argument. Have you spoken about the lump sum taxation?
Yeah, for the lump sum taxation, we can say that there is a special regime that incentivizes also people from non-EU states to relocate to Switzerland in a way that you define a lump sum based on which you are taxed in terms of income and net worth. And that's it. You don't need to declare all the assets that you have worldwide. You just fixed an income with some threshold defined by the cantonal authorities. But that's it. You don't have any surprises. And this is a regime that lasts since decades and has never changed. So it's not like Alexander said that a year on year you have a doubling of taxation. And what we have noticed, especially in the comparison with Italy, which is the closest country to Ticino, is that some families decided to relocate first to Italy because of the convenience of the fiscal regime in the lump sum taxation that was introduced back in 2017. But after a few years, they regretted this because at the end they had to pay more than the current taxation in Switzerland because the government continued to double taxation. And also they are now under the radars of the fiscal authorities in Italy. And they are not always the most nice authorities you can have to deal with.
Absolutely.
And this is again another important topic for when considering Switzerland because taxation, the tax system, but in general the law system is very safe, stable, doesn't have significant changes year on year. It does evolve, but doesn't change its fundamentals, and this is really an added value.
Thank you, Alessandro. And to be fully transparent, I have to say this very important information. The lump sum taxation is made for people who relocate here, but they cannot work. That's a very important point because it's not for everybody, and it costs a little bit, so you have to have some assets to justify this. But it's it's a fantastic. You can found companies, you can be in the board, I think, but you cannot work. Instead, in Italy, you can. So this is a different that you may consider if
it just requires some planning, but solutions can be found. Also
as a city, I cannot tell this, but you can tell as an advisor.
It's legal.
Yeah. I'm not giving advice. Anyway. Thank you, Alexandre and Alessandro. By the way, they will be here with us this afternoon, so just after the panel, if you want to get in contact with them, maybe it's not the right place to discuss this, but just exchange addresses and contact them for any advice. I think they can give you some information. They will be very happy to do that. So let's now talk about the real entrepreneur who did it, who did the step. I would start maybe with Pietro, because he came here in 2023, so he's already established, he's already one of Lugano, right? And well, you speak Italian by default, so you integrated very fast, but it's not the language is not the problem here. So tell us your story and why you decided to relocate. What was the thought behind this, and what happened, positive and negative of this?
Right. So I've been battling to do innovation out in Italy for about a decade, and it was incredibly tough. We always loved pioneering new technologies, and every time there's a clash between innovation and regulations and stuff, and taxation as well, so very complicated. Then after a while, I really decided I wanted to do something different, something bigger, a challenge that a lot of governments, private entities and NGOs have taken on unsuccessfully, which is building the first global water credit system. For those of you who are not familiar, it's like the carbon credit system applied to water, so that water positive companies could certify their advancement in sustainability, every cubic meter from alternative water resources they could reclaim and sell it to companies that are water intensive and therefore have a very heavy water footprint on the local communities and territory. And that's really complicated. It involves financial things, it involves regulatory, it involves sustainability, compliancy. It's really complex. It's a complex matter, right, to set up. And here in Lugano, in Switzerland was the first choice, and then Lugano, to be honest, most of the reasons why we moved here was because of Plan B, because we thought that a city that was so interested in opening to crypto and blockchain as a whole was very interesting, a very interesting environment to be in. And so we incorporated the company here about mid-2023, it was July, and launched in April last year. And what we were able to achieve here, it's actually, I always describe it as a one coffee away city, because we could meet with professionals like Alessandro and set everything up. We could find very vertical Web3 legal firms like Lexify that supported us in dealing with FINMA. We had FINMA that could actually understand, study our tokenomics and ensure...
By the way, FINMA is the financial regulator in Switzerland, CONSOB in Italy, or SEC in the United States.
There we go. It's like the local SEC that is really open to crypto, has a very clear rules about it, frameworks about it. So we were actually framed as a utility token with specific AML, KYC requirements and stuff. You get a no action letter, which says as long as you stay by what you have described, we're cool. No one's gonna mess with you. And that's really important also to open banking relationship and so on. So we could actually find everything here. Then we started having global traction. So right now we're talking to 40 different governments, and soon we're gonna be the first token in history that governments require companies to purchase. So it's not even about accepting that, it's requiring water intensive companies to purchase water tokens, balancing their impact. And it's really big. Matter of fact, one of the first countries will be Brazil, actually. So it was very funny about this panel, the fact that we built a company here in Lugano and are operating in South America as well, and he's going the other way around, so very interesting.
That's
comparison.
Globalization, right?
Exactly. But what I can tell you guys about Lugano is that really, if you need anything, everything's one coffee away. Whether it's the bank, whether it's the institutions. We had a bit of an issue with the VAT, for instance, because you're selling a token. People behind the wallet, you have no idea where they're from, and we have to pay very small VAT here in Switzerland. So we could actually get the whole thing ruled with the fiscal authority and understand the framework, so we could have an international VAT basically calculated. So this is all possible because of a very specific and unique, I think, ecosystem where we can find everything in a super small surface of land.
So if I summarize, it's basically you are happy.
Yeah, totally happy, totally happy. If I have to say something that I did not like that much, it's a big challenge, not from Lugano, but from Swiss ecosystem, I think it's banking. I mentioned that before. So FINMA has this beautiful framework, so technically banks should be fine with it. But truth is, every time you move any amount of money and you're a company that someone can flag as a blockchain company, no matter what you do, they don't really discriminate between a meme coin company or an infrastructural company.
Yeah, yeah.
The blockchain flag on a compliance registry makes life a living hell.
Yeah.
What's, again, a good side about it though, here in Lugano, the Ticino team of our bank really understood the company and really fought along with us to make it work. So
But banking is really always a problem
Big
in the
challenge.
crypto space, at least in Lugano. But I would like to ask Alexander, is it the same in the rest of Switzerland with banks or the traditional financial sector? Or is it changing?
It's always, well, I'm a former banker as well, and the thing what I learned is when you talk to banks, they mostly care about money or making money. So when they look at a crypto company, basically anyone involved in crypto, basically the question they ask, what's the risk I'm taking? Do I understand the business and AML and all those things? And is the business worthwhile? Is it big enough? If you look very small but very cumbersome, then you're not going to get a good treatment. So I've had actually multiple interactions with different banks. The answer is yes, you can find solutions, but it's highly advisable that you really think carefully how you present yourself, from what you put in the stages of your limitations, of your principles, of how you market yourself. You don't lie about it, but make it attractive enough as a business, and be transparent enough, and prepare that as well. Sometimes sometimes entrepreneurs think, I'm going to walk into UBS and they're going to open an account, and unfortunately that is not the case. You have to prepare a bit. That's my short answer.
Okay, but we are getting better. I know banks, we also facilitate the introduction to banks so we can help. Thank you, Pietro. Guilherme, the last minutes for you, just tell us what happened. I mean, you are really fresh.
Yeah, thank you, Paulo. Thank you, the city, for inviting me. So I'm Guilherme. I was born in Brazil under a military dictatorship in the 70s. Then I was teenager during the 80s, where we have hyperinflation, like German style pre-World War II. The things doubled. I saw people remarking prices on the supermarket every time. And then I went to the engineering school in the 90s, and we saw all the internet bubble, business being built and burst in minutes. And then I started a company in 2002 that was my fifth or sixth company, and I eventually was lucky enough to sell this company this year to a big Brazilian conglomerate. And I'm starting a new one on the distributed computing sphere. We're going to build a distributed computing federation based on idle computing resources, incentivized by a crypto asset. And during this development of the idea, we did a really extensive research on jurisdictions, because if I'm starting again, I'd like to find the right place where I don't have to fight the system like I did all my life in Brazil to build a business. And among the jurisdictions, of course, Switzerland came out because of the very clear regulation and rules. In my view, they don't constrain you, they give you freedom, because in the end, you just have opportunity to do or do not things. You face consequences. You're not obliged to do anything. You just face consequences. And when you don't have rules, you are at the mercy of the powerful, because they can decide afterwards what's right or wrong. And then Switzerland came out because the competing jurisdictions, there are Singapore, Middle East, UAE, they are not democracies. They don't have this history of a well-established system. And then Alexander took my point. I didn't talk to him before, but a decentralized, a federation of decentralized autonomous nodes. That is what we are doing in our system, exactly the political system of the country. So the social system and the computing system being alike, it was one of the things as well. And then I came to Switzerland where in Switzerland? And I traveled, I spoke to universities, I went to the regions. Of course, the number one place to have a crypto business is Zug. The number one banking place is Zurich. But when I came to Lugano, I met Paulo and I came up with the Plan B initiative. It's quite unique. I think it's quite unique in the world to have a city and the private sector building a kind of sandbox where you can interact and try things out. It's really, really unique. And I want to be here because I think Lugano, I was listening to the presentations this morning. If we have a broken money system right now, and Bitcoin is a very good reserve of value, but I myself don't consider Bitcoin money because it's for money itself you have to have a stability of prices. And I think the money of the 21st century will be built here in Lugano, and I want to be part of it. So that's why.
Thank you, Guilherme, and good luck with your new venture here in Lugano. I mean,
Thank
I'm
you.
so happy. When we did meet, like 2 months ago, 3 months ago? I
2
don't-
months ago,
2
yeah.
months ago, very short. You're probably one of the very fast decision maker I've met, but many meet us, and then maybe 6 months later, maybe a year later, they decide to move here in Lugano or in Zurich or in Zug or in Neuchâtel, whatever. But it's very important to say that it's happening and from all over the world. Well, I will thank you, all of you, really. Thank you very much. I hope we could give you some overview on why Switzerland and maybe some information why Lugano, and then what you can do if you move to Lugano. You have here a contact, but you have other professionals naturally, but naturally Alessandro is here today for free, so profit for this. And then I will just open up for questions. Okay, we have a microphone, please.
Thank you. This is really directed at the two gentlemen, the two entrepreneurs. What have you found have been the drawbacks or the negatives of moving to Lugano, if any? What were any unexpected surprises that you found, if any? Thank you.
Right, I can talk from a 3 years experience, and to be honest, to date, I don't have any major bad surprise or anything. Most surprises were good. In fact, I always find out that I can pay less than I thought I was gonna pay for some reason. So it's quite cool. As mentioned, for our business, which is very strictly related to blockchain, that's the main challenge. And if I have to say something, probably one big challenge for actually the whole Swiss ecosystem that should be addressed is the tax on the substance when you're doing startups, because you might have a company that has billion or several billion worth of valuation, and even if the substance tax is really, really low, on these high numbers, especially if you're an entrepreneur that probably is not getting 1 million Swiss francs per month in salary, you're trying to keep the money in the company going, you might have this. It's an extreme, of course, but if you have very, very high valuation and you grant yourself little liquidity, you might find yourself with a bit of an offset. And this is something
You're talking about personal taxes?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. Because it's very low. It's like you don't really care about it up to a certain threshold, right? But over a certain amount of valuation, it's really, really complicated. I talk often with entrepreneurs about it. Be very careful on the type of company you're building, the type of fundraising you're doing. Just consider that.
Yeah, but probably Alessandro can
Yeah.
help you to figure out how to do this, right? You don't have to tell it now because I'm here, but
It's an easy answer. I mean, we're talking about a maximum 0.5% of tax rate on the net worth as a maximum. And again, the counterbalancing part is that would be also the amount that you would pay on as you realize a capital gain, So if as an individual you have an increase in the value of your company, you pay on the net worth represented by that company, the size of the 0.5% as a maximum. On the other side, when you monetize, when you realize that capital gain, you are totally free from taxes. So maybe that's a bit counterbalancing the pay that you have before.
And this, by the way, works also if you purchase Bitcoin at $1 and you're selling to 100,000 now, you get 1
Yeah.
billion earn,
For free.
a net benefit. You don't pay taxes on that. But if you're a professional trader, but this is another question. If you trade every day, then you're a professional trader. Other question? Please.
Hello. Hello, I'm an Italian journalist, and I'd like to go after Meloni. This is a question for Mr. Brunner. I don't remember this statement. Meloni said we are bankrupt. I don't remember this statement. Believe me.
I said that.
So don't remember anyway. This is what I know very well what Meloni said. I don't like Meloni. This is my principle. But I don't remember this statement. That's it.
Sorry, yeah, I didn't say Meloni said we're. I said Europe is bankrupt. Or most European countries are bankrupt. Okay.
Yeah. Another question, please.
Maybe just on a quick question on the drawbacks. When I talk to clients, what the drawbacks are, if you're, and it's interesting, the two entrepreneurs we have here on the panel, I mean, you're both more seasoned entrepreneurs. You've been in this game for a while. So if you come here and you want to raise AI, Silicon Valley type of funding rounds, Lugano is probably not the best location. That's probably the drawback. But if you're a seasoned entrepreneur and you want to talk on that, great. Then you already have the networks and you have the pedigree, then it's easier.
Yeah, good point.
That's the point I want to raise. Yeah, I've opened 10 years ago. I've opened a company in US, and if you really want to run fast and build fast and burn money, I don't think here is the best environment. The pace of the development is much more nuanced, and I think things will be built more carefully. That's my take.
And just to be clear, Lugano is not the perfect place in the world. It's just one of the nice places to be. We are still building an ecosystem. We fight a lot. We need more venture capitalists, more angels to invest. But it's happening. It's happening a lot. And, having here entrepreneurs who moved, and they are not the only ones. So trust me, we had many companies. I think when we started, we counted the company of being founded or moved to Lugano after 2022, and we launched Plan B, considering the first year was really like trying to understand what we would like to do, is more than 100. So it's a lot of company for a small region like Ticino. But what most important, we see now young generation coming from the rest of Switzerland to set up in Lugano and set up companies. My generation, after high school, we had to move because we didn't have universities 30, 40 years ago here. So now we really inverted this, and this is something really happening. We have 3 universities now. You can work with the university, very high-level universities. So this is really changing the region, and also thanks for the entrepreneurs who
can
came
add just
here.
one
Please,
last
go
thing
ahead.
on this. Thought very interesting. Right, it's a young ecosystem in the making, but it's probably, depending on what you do, but the best time to be here, right? Because you can shape that ecosystem. It's much harder to tap into an existing ecosystem that's already mature and try to bend rules, make it work for you, when you can be, part of a co-founder of the ecosystem itself and shape it with your contribution. That's my point.
Wonderful. Is there any other question? No? So thank you very much. Oh, sorry, one there.
Very glad to hear that you've moved your headquarters here, Guilherme and Pietro, to Lugano. How about then serving the world here from out of Lugano? So you still do business in Italy, in Brazil, etc. How do you feel about this cross-border business here at the headquarters? Is this still working as before, or is there a different challenge, or how do you do the serving here around the globe?
That's a great question. For what we do, that's been a game changer for us, because Switzerland is perceived as a neutral state, right? From its history, but it's still like no one has any beef with Switzerland whatsoever. So we can work with Brazil, we can work with Africa, we can work with Europe, and literally when you, at least for what we do, we touch water, which is a key resource. It's a strategic resource for countries and for governments. So it's very critical, right? And I don't think we could be doing this at a global scale from anywhere else in the world, right? So that's for what we do. That's our perspective. So it's been a very big and fundamental thing to take into consideration when moving here.
Is there other questions? Oh, okay. Now they're coming. Please.
We're warming up.
Sorry. Yes, he's going then. Then I come to you. Go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon. As a continuation of Mr. Brunner said earlier about the Silicon Valley type of investments, can you tell us about the crowdfunding system here in Ticino regarding the small companies and startups? Thank you.
I may add some information on that. Well, we are still building this, so the whole ecosystem is really working hard on that. So we are attracting new capitals. We have a commitment from Tether, our partner from the Plan B. They put down 100 million in the table, split in 4 funds, if I remember well. Everything is really related to Bitcoin, Bitcoin Lightning, emerging countries, payment system linked to Bitcoin. So they're really Bitcoin oriented. You can imagine why. This is here, and actually we have a contest these days. I think something like 20 startups. They are competing for 850,000 francs grant. On Monday they will decide who is the winner. We have a lot of business angels that maybe you don't see them, but they are here. A lot of families, local families, but a lot of also Italian families who are living here since years. And honestly, the Italian families are big investors, and they are huge entrepreneurs. I mean, I really love Italy and the Italian way to make, to build up companies. But then you have here Milan. So Milan is really next. You have Italy, you have Como, you have all the region here, and then you have Zurich. Zurich is an hour and 50 minutes by train, 1 hour and 20 to Zug, and you don't even have to go up sometimes, you just connect. So the ecosystem is really integrating in all this financing circuit. So it's not so easy like in Silicon Valley. I started in Silicon Valley back 25 years ago, and that was really easy when the internet rise there. But if you have a good project, you can get the money, sometimes easy. We just have one exit, Elysium, who did an exit and was founded by Fulgur in part, and then Blockstream purchased them. So it's happening here too. So it's not like Silicon Valley, is not like New York or other places like this.
Also, I think there are a bunch of new instruments that are a bit old style, but trying to go towards the innovative side from asset managers. And there's a lot of wealth and liquidity, and a lot of family offices and funds are looking for alternative assets. So you can maybe create an AMC, a tracker, some different instruments of alternative finance as a way to fundraise here in Switzerland, which are maybe not that common for the startup scene, but are very effective here. So with a bit of creativity, there are ways that are alternatives to the usual VC funds and incubators.
Yes, consider Lugano is the 3rd financial hub of Switzerland since ever. We are now ranked, I think, something like 30 in the ranking of the most known financial hubs in the world, which we were 0. We were not in the classmen on the ranking of the first 100 5 years ago. So something is happening here. So
look, it took me 3 months just as to give you an insight. 3 months to get an ISIN code for my token. So now my token is on crypto exchanges, but can also be purchased by pension funds and regulated asset managers. That we could bridge it real fast to European systems, so it can be purchased in Europe, in UK, in Switzerland. And now I have a regulated token at the end of the day because I have a financial instrument that wraps the token itself. So these are all ways and instruments that are used here in the country that startups can leverage.
Absolutely. There was another question here, then we have to close. Oh, sorry. It was here first. Yeah, okay. Okay. Here first, sorry.
Yes, it's a question for you as an entrepreneur.
Just a second.
It's a question again for you as an entrepreneur about the cultural difference in networking. So do you value networking here? You mentioned everything is just a coffee away, but that sounds like I need something. And more on a broader sense, how do you experience networking here? Thank you.
Very, very short, please.
Yeah. There are a ton of private events and dinners, and it's different from the rest of the world. Of course, it has its unique shape. I go to the cigar lounge. I meet a lot of people in the cigar lounge or the parties of watch enthusiasts. There are different ways to connect with people, but there's not that skepticism that I usually find, for instance, in Italy. I usually find people think you're about to scam one another. There's this sort of vibe of untrusted. Here, they give you, they give you a chance to open up and bring things to the table. So I feel it's much more open.
And consider that being in Lugano, you are in Switzerland. Switzerland is a small country, so you can interact with anybody in Switzerland very easily. Last one.
Just a quick question about hiring staff and retaining staff. Is it pretty easy to hire, say, international people and local people? Like, are there enough, say, resources with the, say, knowledge that you're after?
Alessandro, for you.
Yes, it is really easy. So you don't need any long-lasting onboarding processes. As mentioned, if you are hiring non-EU people, you need to justify it from the technical point of view. But for EU people, this is really easy. So in one day, you can have an employee enrolled and working for your entities.
And imagine that Ticino is really well placed compared to Zurich. If you go north, 2 hours by car, we are probably 3 million people. If you go south, 1 or 2 hours by car, we have 20 million people. Polytechnics, Milan has amazing university. So you have a huge market of people, well educated, well formed, that you can onboard and ask them to live in Lugano and do this, to onboard for your company.
Maybe one last thing.
And we have 2 universities here, by the way,
yeah, exactly.
that you can hire from here.
That.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
There is a strict and very close connection with universities. In here we have 3 in Lugano. And it's really easy to get in touch with personnel in charge can get added value to you and can start projects together with companies. There is really a lot of projects ongoing, joint between university and private companies.
And university has a lot of international students. I really have to close because we took some more time, but thank you very much to the speaker and thank you very much for listening. Thank you.